So in the previous video, we talked about how we can find the empirical formula, the simplest whole number ratio of atoms in a molecule. We talked about how to find that using mass percent information. Now we're going to talk about how we can use that empirical formula to determine the molecular formula. So you remember the molecular formula is the actual number of atoms that are present in a molecule. And then we make use of the fact that the molecular formula is always some whole number multiple of the empirical formula. What do I mean by that? Let's say we were to do an example problem. Let's say we had a molecule that has an empirical formula of CH. So C1H1 or CH. One carbon, one hydrogen. The molecular mass that's done by a separate experiment, how much that molecule actually weighs, so its molecular weight, is actually 78.0 grams per mole. What is the molecular formula for this compound that has an empirical formula of CH? So to do this problem, we need to know how many empirical units are in each molecular unit. And how do we determine that? We determine that by taking the molecular mass that will always be given to you in the problem. So in this case, it's 78.0 grams per mole. And then divide it by the empirical mass, which in this case is 13.02. So how did I get 13.02 for my empirical mass? I look at my empirical formula and I find the mass of my empirical formula using the periodic table. The mass is on the periodic table. Carbon is 12.01, hydrogen is 1.01, added together gives you 13.02. So that is my empirical mass. I put that number in the denominator, and when I divide those numbers, I get 5.99, which is pretty darn close to 6. What that means is that my molecular mass is 6 times heavier than my empirical mass. So if that's the case, I can take that, I can use that number as a multiplier in my empirical formula, and I can take my empirical formula, which is CH, or C1H1, multiply those implied ones by 6 to give me my final molecular formula, which is C6H6. And so one way you can check yourself with these problems is once you get that molecular formula, calculate its molar mass using the periodic table. And you should get the molar mass or the molecular mass that's given to you in the problem, which in this case is 78.0 grams per mole. So that's how you find the molecular formula from the empirical formula. In the next video, which will be the last video for the chapter, we're going to talk through a problem where you're given mass percent data and a molecular mass, and you have to find the empirical and molecular formula for that compound.